class, I'm Ms. Cooper. So for this project, I'm going to talk about job order costing as well as process costing. So first things first, the similarities between the two are that both take into account tracking direct materials, direct labor, and overhead costs within the production process. Both costing systems are ultimately interested in determining the cost per unit or service. There are a lot of differences between job order costing and process costing. I'm going to be comparing a lot of different subjects between the two, so I'm going to be going from one line to the other, left to right. So the first one is the operation definition. In job order costing, the customized product is manufactured separately in its production, as opposed to process costing, where mass production of products is in a continuous flow of steps. The measurement focus is that the job order costing focuses on one individual job or batch, and the process costing is on the individual process itself. The measurement cost per unit, job order costing measures upon completion of a job, and that is total cost divided by the number of units in a job. And then process costing measures unit cost at the end of a period by combining the cost per equivalent unit from each department. The cost object in a job order costing is like the job itself, and then in process costing, it's the process. And then last but not least, the works in process is a little bit different. So job order costing uses only one account, and then process costing uses separate accounts for each department. To give an example for these similarities and differences, for job order costing, we're going to use a customized floral arrangement store versus the process order costing example, which is the manufacturer of Nike shoes. So one of the similarities for the customized floral arrangements is that the direct materials are going to be the base cost, flower foods, and the flower themselves. Direct labor is going to include the labor of the employee who actually creates the customized arrangements. And the overhead costs are going to include things such as the payroll manager's salary, utilities, and the ribbon used. I put the ribbon here because the overhead costs are things that cannot be traced back to each individual item. And it's kind of hard to trace exactly how much ribbon was used per vase when you're buying so much ribbon in bulk. For process costing, I'm using an example of the manufacturer of Nike shoes. For direct materials, it's going to include shoelaces, soles for the shoes, rubber for the bottom of the shoes, etc. For direct labor, we're going to add in the factory worker salaries who are directly associated with the labor involved in producing the shoes. And then overhead costs are going to be supervisors' payroll, utilities, and factory machine maintenance. Secondly, I'm going to talk about the difference between the two companies. So the first row is job order costing, process costing is the right row. The operation definition for job order costing is customized product is manufactured separately in its production. Process costing is the mass production of the products in a continuous flow of steps. The measurement focus is on one individual job or batch for job order costing. Process costing is on the individual process. The measurement of cost per unit, job order costing measures upon completion of the job. Process costing measures unit costs at the end of a period by combining the cost per equivalent unit from each department. The cost object in the job order costing is the job. Process costing is the process. Works in process account uses only one account for job order costing. Process costing uses separate accounts for each department. A quick definition of activity-based costing is that it focuses on the activities and costs carrying out activities. Rates based on these activities are then used to assign overhead to products in proportion to the amount of activity required to produce them. One of the potential drivers in the flower arrangement shop might include the flowers themselves as well as the vases. I would imagine that these would be a higher cost for the company to incur. An example for activity-based costing in the Nike shoes department, I thought a potential driver would be the machine hours used to produce the shoes. I could only imagine that running those machines are probably a very high cost for the company. The last thing on our list is the equivalent units of production, and this needs to be included in the process costing because they represent the number of units that could have been started and completed given the costs incurred in a current period. This number is originally taken from the works in process account and then calculated based on the percentage of completion. This information is necessary to correctly know what the cost of the partially completed goods are. This number is needed to accurately measure the firm's production activity for the period. A quick example of this is that there are 200 units of shoes that are currently in the production process where 50% of them are completed. The production cost would be equal to 100 completed units, and this cost is then added to the cost of units already completed.